To be more precise, I see Captain William and Yami Hello and welcome for my review of Boku no Hero chapter 321 and my predictions for the following chapter next week, chapter 322. Let's get into it. The chapter pretty much reaffirmed my predictions of my last video for this week's chapter, and that is that Yuno would not be enough to stand up to Lucifero. We got some nice scenes, him fighting, and I was really surprised to see Mereoleona as the only one of the captain ranked magicians to still be up on her feet and support Yuno this way. Noteworthy being Lucifero stating that her magic seems to be still rising. What surprised me was that we got a lot of character exposition for Seke. I saw he's more of a joke character in previous chapters, but maybe this builds up towards him becoming more important for the story. And last but not least, a small scene, a small picture that pretty much could go unnoticed, but to me seems pretty important, is showing the level 2 Clyphos Devil seeming again to be not very interested in participating in taking down the humans. Quite contrary, he seems to be intrigued, or maybe I'm reading too much in his facial expression, it's mostly neutral. But for those of you who haven't watched my previous video, in which I stated my theory that the level 2 Clyphos Devil will join sides with the humans, will join the human side. And I think it will be once the Clyphos Devil recognizes that the humans might stand a chance, albeit little, but he might be the grain on the scale to tip the scale towards the favor of humans. So let's go over the chapter a bit more in detail. So the chapter starts off where the last chapter ended. We see Seke on the ground, one more time scaling Lucifero's power by giving the statements how far above he seems, above humans, having taken out all of the magic captains. He looks up to Yuno, astonished, and it seems also jealous how Yuno is able to stand up in the face of Lucifero. We also get to see the usefulness and versatility of Yuno's star magic, serving both as a means of teleportation, but also seemingly being able to erect some kind of force field that negates Lucifero's gravity magic on the inside, protecting Seke, Mimosa, and Asta. All while Mimosa is healing Asta with her healing magic, with her plant healing magic. And we see Yuno using his star magic in conjunction with his wind magic to effectively fight Lucifero and evade his strikes. But he lacks the power, the sheer brute force to actually injure Lucifero. And this is where Mereoleona surprise attacks Lucifero with an attack that looks absolutely devastating, amazingly portrayed. And this is an attack that would probably have taken out any other character. But as we are shown already, Lucifero's power just makes it so nothing seems to faze him. The chapter further progresses with Yuno and Mereoleona in the background unleashing their attacks on Lucifero, while Seke goes into a monologue lamenting his own character weakness, but also his physical weakness, remembering how he used to think of himself as being above others, but in the end not having put any real effort into becoming better, living up to the expectation and the responsibility of being a magic knight. And while all this happens, we see the level 2 Clyphos Devil again being absolutely non-involved. He takes no action and doesn't aid Lucifero in any way in taking down the humans. And like I said, maybe I'm over-interpreting, and his facial expression being mostly neutral. But to me, this one more time affirms the possibility of him possibly taking on a supportive role, a role where he sides with humans in the future. But more to that later. The chapter ends with Asta being back on his feet, ready to support Yuno and Mereoleona in their fight against Lucifero, all while being commentated by Seke. And this, I think, also builds towards him, Seke, possibly taking on a more important role in the next chapters. And we see Asta emitting anti-magic from his shoulder again, which seems to indicate that for the next chapter he's probably going to re-enter Devil Union mode, or at least an anti-magic enhanced mode as he was able to do before going into a union with Liebe. So now for my prediction of next week's chapter of Boku no Hero, chapter 322. So for the next chapter, I expect the chapter to pick up exactly where it left off this week. Asta supporting Yuno and Mereoleona, and all three of them together taking on Lucifero. And I think it will be interesting to see how effective Asta's anti-magic will be, as we haven't seen Asta connecting his attacks, his full powered attacks against Lucifero undefended. We've seen Lucifero catching Asta's sword and running down his finger along the blade, having caused himself to bleed, which severely enraged him. But we haven't seen Asta take a free swing at Lucifero yet. And even through Juno and Mario Leona alone might not be enough. In tandem with Asta, they might give him the chance to land a successful strike. Still, my doubt whether or not they can actually defeat him and whether their combined efforts will be enough outweighs my expectations of them actually being sufficient. So I expect for the next chapter, probably towards the end, to see more characters entering the stage, taking a spotlight in the fight against Lucifero. Characters that we haven't seen much of yet. Characters like the elves, the Black Bulls, but also Captain Yami and Captain William. Those two who seem to be in a really wrecked state from having been misused, abused as fertilizer for the Clyphos tree, being all cracked up, seem not to be in the state to fight, but in shonen fashion, I expect those two to put up a stance against Lucifero. Possibly one more time with all of the captains combined, seeing the captains giving a last stand together. We might also get to see some involvement and some importance of Seke, as this week's chapter seems to have built towards him being more than just a joke character and taking on a more pivotal role in the fight against Lucifero. That's for my prediction of next week's chapter, chapter 322. And for my midterm predictions, I want to reiterate my theories of my last week's video. Theory number 1, I suspect the level 2 Clyphos Devil to side with the humans, to take sides with the humans, as he might see an opportunity to usurp Lucifero, something that, looking at the strict power-determined hierarchy of the devils, would normally be impossible for him, and Lucifero only having emerged ahead in time due to Morris tinkering with the Clyphos. And it would actually not be Lucifero's turn yet to emerge. So that might be the chance of the level 2 Clyphos Devil, who is a highest ranking devil of the Clyphos, but still lower ranking than Lucifero, to be free of the hierarchy. My second theory is that we might see someone dying. It's not like I'm seeing death flags particularly, but I think it would add to the severeness of the situation, and at the same time might be a useful plot way to open up positions for both Asta and Juno to go up a rank. To be more precise, I see Captain William and Yami giving their life in a last stand against Lucifero, as possibly the damage done to their body due to them having been misused and drained as fertilizer might have left them in a state that dooms them. But in old shonen fashion, they might give a last stand against Lucifero to save the younger, the next generation of magic knights. So that's it with my review of this week's chapter of Black Clover, chapter 321, and my prediction of the next chapter, chapter 322. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested, I'm also doing review and prediction videos of the following series: One Piece, Boku no Hero Academia, and Boruto, Naruto The Next Generation. I also cover other Japan-related topics on this channel. So if you're interested, check out my other videos. I hope you had fun, you enjoyed it. Have a nice day, see you again, goodbye.